to the next point. We should ensure whatever we see is clear.
That means work is being done. We can see that it is in opposite direction.
Good day, learners and viewers at home. Once again, you are welcome to another agricultural science lesson to be presented by Mr. Thomas Peter. Our today's lesson, the topic is livestock management, but the subtopic we are going to discuss is poultry. But before we go into the proper discussion, I have some questions to ask learners and listeners. Do you rear birds or fowls at home? How do you feed them? Have they ever contracted any disease? If yes, how do you treat them? What type of disease did they contract? If no, what measures have you been taking to prevent them from contracting any disease? In the course of this lesson, all these answers will be unveiled. Now let's go to the definition. Poultry. Poultry is a group of birds reared for food and other purposes. This group of birds include turkey, guinea fowl, goose, duck, and the local primitive fowl called gallus. But the emphasis of this lesson will be laid on fowls. Now, terminologies in poultry production. For clear understanding of the subsequent explanation of this lesson on poultry production, there is a need to identify and define some important terminologies in poultry, which are as follows. 1. Cock. A cock is a male fowl above 1 year of age. 2. Cockery. This is a male fowl below 1 year of age. 3. Hen. A hen is a female fowl above 1 year of age. 4. Pullet. A pullet is a female fowl below 1 year of age. Then we have number 5, chick. This is a young fowl of 0 to 6 weeks old. Number 6, capon. A capon is a castrated male fowl. This means the testes of the male fowl is removed. Number 7, caponization. This is the process of castrating a cock. We have trading. It's the act of mating in fowls for the purpose of reproduction. 9. Grower. This is a fowl between 7 to 19 weeks of age. Number 10. Layer. A layer is a female fowl over 20 weeks of age that can lay eggs. 11. Broiler. A broiler is a fowl reared purposely for meat. Then we have number 12. Clutch. This is a group of young chicks. Number 13. We have flock. A flock is a group of fowl. And number 14, chicken. A chicken is a meat of fowl. Now, breeds of fowls. There are various breeds of fowls which include the following. 1. Local or primitive breed called Gallus gallus. Number 2. White Leghorn. 3. Brown Leghorn. 4. Sussex. 5. Cornish. 6. Plymouth Rock. 7. New Hampshire. 8. Rhode Island Red. And 9. Cochin. Summarily, white leghorns white leghorn and brown leghorn are good egg producers. Rhode Island Red, New Hampshire, and Plymouth Rock are good producers of eggs and meat. In other words, they are called dual-purpose breeds. But Sussex, Cornish, and Cochin are good broilers for meat production only. Systems of poultry management. Note here that the system of poultry management defines the extent to which birds are exposed to sunshine, feeding, and housing pattern. In view of that, 3 management systems have been identified as follows. 1. Extensive system. 2. Semi-intensive system. While the third one is intensive system. We shall discuss these systems one after the other. We are starting with number 1, which is extensive system. Under this system, the birds are allowed to roam or wander about in search of food and water without proper housing, care, and feeding. Extensive system can also be termed as free-range system, in which to some extent the birds are confined in a hut or in a shed at night and are allowed to roam about during the day. During environmental extremes like cold and hot weather or rain, the birds take shelter under trees and bushes, while others run to the shade or hut to take cover. Let us see the advantages of extensive system. 1. Capital needed to start the business is very low. 2. Little or no labor is involved. 3. Fowls get vitamins and minerals from the grasses they feed on, which help them to be disease resistant. However, extensive systems also have disadvantages, which include the following. 1. It exposes the birds to extreme weather conditions. 2. Predators like snakes and thieves can take their eggs, since the eggs are laid in the bush. Semi-intensive system is the second system of poultry keeping. This is a system that is midway between intensive and extensive system, because the birds are housed in a fixed building, but they are allowed to move about within a fenced area during the day. A typical example is the fold unit system, in which wire mesh can be used as fence and can be folded when the farmer is on transit, as it is the case with nomadic farmers who move from one place to another in search of greener pasture. Advantages of semi-intensive system. 1. The birds are safe from the attack of wild animals and other predators. 2. The birds are kept in small groups and calling is made easy. By calling, I mean ability to isolate the birds in terms of sickness, in terms of cannibalism. 3. Labor is not needed for locking up the birds at night. Disadvantages of semi-intensive system. 1. It is more expensive than extensive system in comparison. 2. Production efficiency is less than the intensive system when compared. The third system of poultry keeping is intensive system. In this system, the birds are confined within a building and are not allowed to move out to get access to sunlight and pasture because water, feed, and medication are provided by the farmer. There are 2 examples of intensive system. 1, we have the deep litter and battery cages. The deep litter system involves construction of large buildings with concrete floor filled with litter materials like sawdust and wood shavings, where the battery cage system involves the housing of birds individually in a cage. Advantages of intensive system. It improves the efficiency of poultry management. 2. It reduces the loss of birds and eggs to predators. 3. It helps to protect the birds against weather extremes. 4. It gives the farmer the opportunity for close supervision of the birds. And 5. Diseases and parasites are not easily spread as it is the case in battery cages, since each bird is housed individually. Disadvantages of intensive system. 1. To construct building and install cages are very expensive. 2. The battery cage system may be faulted since it is usually automated. 3. Cannibalism may occur, especially in deep litter system, where you find some birds pecking the eggs. 4. Spreading of diseases and parasites is common, especially in deep litter system, because the fowls are congested. Healthcare and sanitation in poultry. To ensure high productivity in birds, in terms of meat and eggs, adequate drugs administration, vaccination, and sanitation must be carried out on the farm. Vaccination program. You see the format here. We have the age of birds. We have the vaccination, that is the vaccine. Then the disease the farmer is trying to prevent. Then we start from the first one. When the fowls are 1 to 7 days, you give them intraocular, that is NDVI through the eyes. And the disease you are trying to prevent is called Newcastle disease. The next one is when the birds are 8 to 20 days. You give them Gumborov vaccine, otherwise known as IBDV, through drinking water. And the disease you are trying to prevent is Gumboro disease. The next one is when the fowls are 3 to 4 weeks, you give them the vaccine known as NDV, Lasota, through drinking water. And you are still trying to prevent the fowls against Newcastle disease. Then the next one is when the fowls are 3 to 4 weeks, you give them fowl pox vaccine, abbreviated FDV, stabbed in wing webbed. And the disease you are trying to prevent here is fowl pox disease. When the fowls are 6 weeks, you give them Komarov, that is NDVR, through intramuscular injection. And the disease you are trying to prevent here is Newcastle disease. Then, when the fowls are 8 weeks, you still repeat the Komarov NDVR through intramuscular injection. Still, you are still preventing Newcastle disease. My listeners and learners at home, from this vaccination program, you can see that Newcastle disease is devastating. So most of the vaccine is mostly to prevent it. However, coccidiosis is another serious disease. Sanitation in poultry. To prevent the contact, to prevent the spread of the disease earlier mentioned, proper and adequate sanitation in poultry house will equally minimize or prevent the spread of diseases. The following sanitary measures should be taken. Cold or isolate sick and dead birds and dispose the dead ones properly. How do you dispose a dead fowl? You dig the ground, put chemicals in the soil, in the hole, then submerge the dead animal. Or you cremate it, that is burnt into ashes. 2, disinfect poultry houses regularly. 3, poultry attendants and visitors should not be allowed into poultry house unless they dip their legs at the gate before entering. 4, drinkers and feeding troughs should be washed and disinfected regularly. 5, wet litters and moldy feet should be detected and removed immediately. 6, endoparasite and ectoparasite should be controlled by deworming and dipping, respectively. Importance of poultry keeping. Poultry plays significant role in the development of the country. 1, it serves as a source of income to the farmers. Most of our farmers today are involved in poultry, without which they will be unemployed. 2, it provides employment for our teeming population. Imagine Nigeria having approximately 200 million population. And most of this population are engaged in farming. 3, poultry droppings are used as farmyard manure, otherwise abbreviated as FYM, for crop production. 4, poultry provide meat and eggs, which are used as food to provide protein and raw materials for pharmaceutical, baking, and cosmetic industries. Now, my students, briefly, what have we learned today? We learned about an important topic known as poultry. And we define poultry as those birds that are reared for domestic purpose and other uses. And we went as far as identifying examples of the birds that are involved. We also discussed the breeds and the types of breeds, whether they are reared for meat or for egg. And I remember I also said that there are dual-purpose breeds. We went as far as discussing the systems of keeping poultry, where we identified both the advantages and disadvantages. We also discussed the vaccination program as well as sanitary measures to be taken to prevent the spread of diseases. And we went as far as identifying the importance of keeping birds or poultry in this country. My dear students, I believe by now, after this lesson, you should get ready to start rearing poultry. However, before we go, I have an assignment for you. And the assignment is as follows. 1A, define poultry. 1B, identify 5 breeds of fowls involved in poultry production. I take it again. 1A, define poultry. 1B, identify 5 breeds of fowls involved in poultry production. Number 2, list and explain the 3 management systems involved in poultry production. List and explain the 3 management systems involved in poultry production. Number 3, state 4 sanitary measures to be taken in a poultry house by a farmer to check the spread of diseases. State 4 sanitary measures to be taken in a poultry house by a farmer to check the spread of diseases. Last but not the least, list 4 relevance or importance of keeping poultry to the economic growth of Nigeria. List 4 relevance of keeping poultry to the economic growth of Nigeria. My dear students, for further references, consult Essential Agricultural Science for Senior Secondary Schools by Nwena, where the second is Prescribed Agricultural Science for Senior Secondary Schools by S.O. Omori. I still remain Thomas Peter. As you submit your assignment or other inquiry, contact me through 080-5121-6365. I take it again. Thomas Peter, 080-5121-6365. Stay safe, keep learning, and start producing birds. Thank you very much.